Kevin hurt his back at work. He'd been with the company 4 years, never had a problem. He lifted a piece of heavy equipment in a way he'd done dozens of times, and something went wrong. His doctor cleared him for light duty. No lifting over 10 pounds, no prolonged standing, no bending at the waist. His employer called quickly. "We have a light duty position for you." It sounded like a good thing. He came back to work. The assignment was on the third floor. There was no elevator. The hours were shifted to accommodate operational needs, which meant Kevin had to rearrange his physical therapy appointments. And when he missed one due to a scheduling conflict, his employer wrote him up for attendance. Over the next 2 weeks, the write-ups accumulated. 3 weeks after his injury, Kevin was terminated. Not because of the injury, the company's HR letter said, because of attendance violations. I've been handling injury cases in Texas for nearly 3 decades, and I can tell you, that sequence is not a coincidence. It's a playbook. And if you're a Texas worker who just got hurt, you need to know it exists, because recognizing it early is the only way to protect yourself. What light duty is supposed to be. Let's start with the legitimate version, because it does exist. Light duty assignments are a real and sometimes valuable tool. When a worker's injured and can't perform their regular job, a modified assignment allows them to keep working, keep getting paid, and stay connected to the workplace while they recover. Done in good faith, it benefits everyone. Some employers do this genuinely. They take the doctor's restrictions seriously. They find work that actually fits. They work around medical appointments. The assignment has a clear end date tied to the worker's recovery. I've seen that happen, but I've also seen the other version far more often. And the difference is usually visible early, if you know what to look for. How light duty becomes a trap. The light duty trap works like this. The employer offers you an assignment. It sounds reasonable, and then the assignment is structured in a way that guarantees you'll fail, or at least appear to fail. The assignment may physically exceed your restrictions. Your doctor said no lifting over 10 pounds and no extended standing. The light duty role involves tasks that require you to be on your feet for 6 hours or lift supply boxes. You either push through, hurting yourself more, or you decline and now you've refused work. The schedule may be designed to conflict with your treatment schedule. Your physical therapy is Tuesday and Thursdays at 9 a.m. Your new light duty shift starts at 8 a.m. You miss appointments. Each missed appointment becomes an attendance violation. The location may be inaccessible. Kevin's assignment was on the third floor. No elevator. If your injury involves a lower extremity issue, climbing stairs may be impossible or dangerous. But the assignment is the assignment, and if you can't get there, that's documented as an absence. And through all of this, the employer is documenting. Every day you're not at the light duty post, every appointment you miss, every time you say, "I can't do that as part of the assignment," they're building a paper trail. When I was on the defense side earlier in my career, I watched this approach used systematically. The goal isn't to fire you for getting hurt. That would be obvious. The goal is to create a documentation record that makes termination look like a performance and attendance decision. It's cleaner, it's harder to challenge, and it starts on the day they offer you that accommodation. Retaliation red flags. Here are the signals I tell any injured worker to watch for. Sudden discipline where there was none before. If you've worked somewhere for 2 or 3 years without a single write-up, and 2 weeks after your injury, you're suddenly getting written up for attendance, performance, attitude, pay attention to that timing. Attendance violations tied to medical appointments. Any medical appointment related to your work injury is something you should be able to attend. If those absences are being counted against you, document them carefully, including your request and any approvals or denials. Change supervisory behavior. You may notice a shift in how your supervisor interacts with you. More formal, documented emails instead of conversations. Suddenly copying HR on routine communications. That shift often signals someone has been coached. Isolation or assignment to a degrading role. Some workers are put in roles that are clearly beneath their experience, in isolated locations or in ways that communicate, "We want you uncomfortable enough to quit." Quitting looks better for the employer than termination when there's a pending injury claim. Termination within weeks or months of an injury claim. In Texas, the timing of an adverse employment action after a workplace injury is something attorneys and courts look at carefully. Texas law and what it does and doesn't cover. Texas does have legal protections against retaliation for workers who are hurt on the job and pursue their rights. Texas law recognizes that it's wrong for an employer to punish a worker for doing what the law allows them to do. I want to be clear, employment law is a specific area, and the protections in a non-subscriber injury context have their own nuances that depend on the facts of your specific situation. I'm not going to oversimplify this. What I will tell you is that the documented pattern matters, the timeline matters, the paper trail, which the employer has been building, can cut both ways. If you've been building your own record of what happened, what was said, and how the assignment deviated from your restrictions, that documentation becomes your evidence. What to do from the moment you get the offer. Here's what I tell every injured worker from the moment that light duty offer is made. Get it in writing before you accept any light duty assignment. Ask the details in writing, the specific duties, the hours, the location, the physical requirements. If someone gives you a verbal description and it doesn't match what you encounter on day one, you need a record of what you were actually told. Compare it against your doctor's written restrictions, not what your doctor said verbally, what they wrote down. If the assignment requires anything that exceeds those written restrictions, tell your doctor and ask them to document that specifically. Patient reports that the proposed light duty assignment includes X, which exceeds current restrictions. That goes into your medical record. Document every communication, every conversation about the assignment, every time you raise a concern, every write-up you receive, dates, names, what was said. Keep copies of everything sent to you. If conversations happen in person, follow up with an email summary. Per our conversation today, I wanted to document that I raised the concern that the assignment requires climbing 3 flights of stairs, which my doctor's restrictions prohibit. That creates a record. Do not quietly push through. I understand the instinct. You want to keep your job. You don't want to seem difficult, but if you perform tasks that exceed your restrictions and you re-injure yourself, you've complicated your medical case. And if you push through without documenting that the assignment exceeds your restrictions, you've weakened your legal case. If an assignment isn't medically appropriate, say so in writing and say it clearly. The light duty trap is one of the most common patterns I've seen in non-subscriber injury cases in Texas. It's not always obvious from the outside, but once you know what to look for, the setup usually becomes visible early. And the earlier you recognize it, the more you can do to protect yourself. If this was helpful, the next video I'd watch is about delayed treatment, because the delay between the injury and the first medical visit is one of the first things employers and insurers point to when they want to argue your injury isn't work-related. That ties directly into everything I just covered. Watch that one next. If you're navigating a light duty situation right now and you need to talk it through, our contact information is in the description.